What's up, my fellow gamers out there? Yes, as you can see, I'm still wearing my tactical gloves because we have some serious business today. No, we are not going to play some dandy RPG. We're going to go and save the city because the city is in ruins. Today we are going to talk about Urban Chaos on PS2. And if you take a look on the cover, I have to say that this is a bit misleading. As you can see, like this huge flames, and there is a riot police officer standing there holding his tactical shield and police button, and I expected something like this in the game, despite I knew that this is going to be an FPS game, so it's not that like you're doing like proper riot control when you are standing in line with other police officers and you're holding a riot shield and water cannons behind you, tear gas, you know. As soon as I started to play the game, I realized that this is something more serious because the city is in big trouble and they don't need the normal riot police, they need the T0. What is T0? T0 is a special squad who deals with these guys called the burners, because they are not burning, they are burning the city with Molotov cocktails and they're just causing a complete havoc. This is a very good game, I really enjoyed it, and this video I'm going to tell you everything about it and why you should play it as well if you love FPS games from this era. So grab your shield, your tactical gear, and let's get started. But before we start the review, let's watch the news to get in context what is happening in the city, because apparently there is a lot going on.
This is Lanny York for Channel 7 News. It appears our city is under attack. At 5 this morning, an explosion ripped through Grand Plaza Station. Hundreds of early morning commuters and station staff are reportedly dead, and many more are wounded.
Damn.
Reports that the explosion was a terror attack have been confirmed. Two separate Middle Eastern extremist fundamentalist groups are claiming responsibility.
Was
In
the
an
acting?
emergency meeting this morning, government officials have decided to increase the city's lockdown with a strict curfew and immediate no-go areas. It appears gang warfare is escalating with groups such as the Burners, which reportedly has 200 members and is growing. We have not seen T0, the new multi-million-dollar Riot Response unit. However, a military insider tells Channel 7 News that T0 is ready to hit the streets later today.
All right, here we go, that's us.
Enforcer has what amounts to military status with upgraded weapons. That includes the controversial RP0 pistol. As you may know, T0 doesn't have much public support. Most residents think the unit is an expensive PR campaign to boost the mayor's image.
Urban Chaos Riot Response has been released in 2006, exactly 20 years ago as the making of this video. Developed by Rocksteady Studios, yes, this is the same studio that would later explode onto the scene with Batman Arkham Asylum. But before Batman made the famous, Rocksteady was experimenting with something much grittier. A first-person riot control shooter focused on urban chaos, literally. Critically, the game landed in the solid but not spectacular territory at launch. Reviewers praised the tight controls, the satisfying gunplay, which I had to strongly agree with, and the strong atmosphere. But at the same time, some reviewers felt the story and mission structure weren't especially deep. Okay, if I already mentioned the story, let's talk about what Urban Chaos is all about. You play as a member of T0, short for Zero Tolerance, and yes, I think this is an accurate name for a team who are doing headshots as part of the interrogation, but to be honest, these guys don't have to be interrogated as they are being caught in the act, but as I'm not a lawyer, so don't take my word for it. So, T0 is an elite special force unit deployed to restore order in a city spiraling into violent gang warfare. This isn't a globe-throttling military epic story, it's just a street-level chaos where you go through burning buildings and streets, you deal with hostage situations, you storm gang strongholds, and constantly deal with urban combat. The narrative is told largely through television news broadcast style cutscenes, which I genuinely liked. It gives the whole campaign a grounded, the city is falling apart in real-time feeling, and I found this quite unique. It adds much more flavor to the gameplay. If you would just see a loading screen with text about what is happening, that would be quite bleak compared to these news broadcasts. The story itself isn't super deep, but it does its job. It gives context, momentum, and just enough stakes to keep you pushing forward. While don't expect huge twists and turns in this story, this game is not about that.
I'm gonna tell everyone
And now let's talk about the T0 team. Even if it feels like sometimes you're not a lone super soldier, T0 operates more like a coordinated emergency response unit. Throughout the missions you are going to work alongside with police officers, firefighters, paramedics and support teammates. And when I say you work with these guys, I really mean it, and this is where the game quietly becomes more interesting than a standard corridor shooter, because you can give orders. You can tell vulnerable NPCs like paramedics to stay back so they don't get themselves killed. You can order a firefighter to bust open a door with an axe, and at the same time this firefighter will tell you to step back and use your riot shield as a heat blast will come through the doorway. It's simple combat functionality, but it adds a nice tactical layer and makes the world feel more reactive and alive. But let's be honest, the reason to play this game is the gunplay and combat, and it still holds up surprisingly well. Enemy gang members don't just stand there, they shout at you, swear at you and react aggressively. That alone makes firefights feel more alive than many shooters from the era. And there is the shotgun, which is one of my favorite weapons in FPS games. The close range headshots are ridiculously satisfying. If you land a particularly nasty kill and the game sometimes kicks into a slow motion gore cam, which is very mid 2000s vibe, but also very satisfying in the dumb arcadish way. It walks that line between tactical and arcade nicely. My only complaint about the combat is the enemy behavior, which is very scripted. They are standing always at the same place and moving in the same way, so it is very easy to predict and learn what will happen if you are replaying a stage. And now let me introduce the Riot Shield, which you will acquire in your very first mission, and it's going to be your best friend in this game. This is not just for show. In tight corridors especially, learning how to use the shield properly makes a huge difference. You can advance while absorbing damage, control choke points and generally survive situations that would otherwise shred your health. And it is fun to use. Once it clicks, you start feeling less like a generic FPS character and more like an actual Riot Response using pushing through hostile territory. You can use your shield to nullify damage from shots, you can push the shield forward and hit an enemy with it to stun it, and it surprised me how much value it added to the gameplay experience just to use this shield. Without this, the game would be an average but cool shooter. The game also keeps you moving forward with a few smart systems. If you find a medic during missions, you can heal yourself, which adds a nice layer of resource awareness, especially that the medic has limited supplies. So after 2 or 3 medpacks, the medic will tell you that, sorry, I'm out, please use your shield and be careful. It's not survival horror strict, but you can't just face tank everything either. Some missions are also time-based, and these can get genuinely tense. When the clock is ticking and you are clearing rooms carefully, the pressure ramps up very quickly. It's one of the few areas where the game can feel properly challenging. And when I say challenging, I mean fair challenge, not brutal rage-inducing frustration. The campaign is built around 10 stages, each with optional performance goals. You can earn medals for things like non-lethal arrests, headshot counts, objective efficiency. And yes, the contrast between non-lethal arrests and shotgun headshot medals is kind of hilarious. But here's the good part. The medals actually matters. They're not just a meaningless achievement, because the more you earn, the more gear you can unlock. That gives replay value and encourages you to approach missions differently instead of just blasting through every time. It's a simple system, but effective. So how the gameplay feels today? While playing it today, what stands out most is the focus on the core gameplay, what you expect from an FPS game. No bloated system, the game is not wasting your time anywhere. It has solid controls, punchy combat, clear objectives and a gritty atmosphere. In today's world of oversized shooters, that simplicity is a bit refreshing. Urban Chaos Riot Response isn't a hidden masterpiece, but is a very solid PS2 shooter that understands what it wants to be. The gameplay is satisfying, the Riot Shield adds real tactical value, the T0 team mechanics gives missions extra flavor, and the new style presentation sets the collapsing city vibe nicely. If you enjoy focused, no-nonsense PS2 shooters, this is one is absolutely worth a look. It may not be the deepest game out there, but when the satisfying shotgun slow motion kicks in, yeah, it still hits. So, should you play Urban Chaos? Yes, definitely. This is a very good FPS game. As I mentioned in my review, I really enjoyed it, and I couldn't really find anything which was like annoying or frustrating in the game. It's a very well made game. It really shows that this was a game made by a studio who made the Batman series later. In the later years, so it's good controls. There's no stupid AI in it. Your actual teammates are useful when you give them orders, and of course, yes, it's not like an open world game where you can go wherever you want. It's like you go in a let's go like pipe, that there's always a way where you have to go, but in a way it's good because it's you don't have to really like think like, okay, when I have to go. There are a few parts which is a bit let's say annoying. Let's say that you go into a building which is burning and it's really dark and it's smoke everywhere, and you have to wear your vision thermal vision gear, which shows you where you can go and you can see, and it was very difficult, and sometimes I was actually stuck and I was like getting a bit frustrated, like, oh, okay, where I have to go, but it's was still just a really minor annoyance. So definitely Urban Chaos is definitely worth playing. The difficulty spikes, there are no difficulty spikes in the game. It's a very good slope. It goes from like easy, and the later missions are very difficult, and you have to really know how to use your shield, and when you just take out the gun, and just it's really enjoyable game. So if you love FPS games from this era, do not skip Urban Chaos. And if you loved it back then or you played it recently, let me know in the comments, because I'm really interested. How did you enjoyed being part of the T0 company? And as always, I hope that you enjoyed the video, and thank you for watching, and I'm going to see you in the next Berko Quest video. Bye bye.